may have, or to deliberate on any plans that the public may have as it relates to our taxation conversation that we've been having. Now, I'm going to make a statement to you here tonight, and then I will attempt to address some of the issues that we have, or that I have found that are circling in our community, to bring clarity and truth to some of those issues. And then I'll open this up to our council and to the community. Now, let me say this, a statement from me to you. There has been, for about 6 months now, there has been constant accusation about myself, and now it has extended to my family. The accusation that has been made against myself and my family is that I am somehow corrupt, and that I am a criminal, that I am somehow in the midst of criminal activity. There's only one or two folks in the community that are making these accusations, and those accusations have then been brought against my family's business as well here recently. Let me say this to you in as strong a terms as I can possibly say. There is nothing illegal about my activity on this council. There is nothing inappropriate or unethical about my activity here on this council. I have been, and I want to share this with you, I have been a council member in this community for 18 years. 18 years I've served on this council. I have ran for office several times. I've ran unopposed several times. In 2021, in the spring of 2021, I ran for mayor. There had never been not one iota of a conversation or allegation or accusation of me being corrupt or a criminal in any way, shape, or form for the better part of 17 years that I've served on this council. That has never been in any way, shape, or form, any accusation that I have had to answer. Only after 6 employees separated from this city was there then these baseless accusations of me somehow being a criminal or corrupt. Remember, after 6 people separated from the city, all of a sudden there has been an accusation from 1 or 2 people in the community, never backed up with any sort of credibility, never turned into any law enforcement organization. And so I need for us to understand this. You know me. I've been with you for 17, 18 years, and I know that you know me, and this will be the only time that I will address this. I have never done anything wrong on this council. I have never done anything wrong serving as a council member, mayor pro tem, or mayor in any way, shape, or form. I categorically deny that. And again, look back at my 17 years. There's never been an accusation against me in that fashion. Precisely, all of the accusations against me in any way, shape, or form are that I'm passionate and I am intense and that I am a worthy adversary for what I believe in, and I'm guilty of that. Now, let me say this about my family's business. My wife has born and raised in the city of Marque and in the West Texas City community. She's been here all her life, and I'm proud of her. And she's built tremendous businesses for our family. Her and my daughter make a great team. Again, 16 years in the childcare industry, again, in the food industry, and there's never been any accusation of corruption or criminality. Things that people post online, they post them and they try to spin them. And they try to make them be something that they're not. And that's okay. I'm a big boy. But more importantly, this will be the only time that I address these accusations, and I want to make sure that they're addressed. And Chief, if we need to play this tape over again, we can do that. Because I want to do what I've been doing the whole time that folks have been accusing. I want to continue to work to make this city safe. That's what I've been doing. That's why I don't get on social media. answer any of these allegations that are made against myself and my family, because I am working and doing everything in my power to make sure that our city is safe. I'm doing everything in my power to meet, to discuss, to talk, to figure out ways to keep us safe. Now, I won't address it anymore. I just want you to listen to the tape and look back at my history and the history of my family. We have been who we said that we would be in and around this community. Now, let me say this. I've heard a few things here in the community about some of the stuff surrounding this tax rollback. And there were some solutions that were proposed here between the last time that we met by people outside of the city government. And let me say this, anytime that there's any solution that you believe could move this city forward, I encourage you, this council encourages you to bring that solution to the city council, because the council is the body that has to make the decisions on the future of our city. And so to have meetings outside of council chambers when the people that will actually make the decisions are in council chambers, that's not putting our best foot forward. So if we can learn together, I'm willing, this council's willing to get together as a community and discuss this in the chambers, we might be able to do something to move our city forward. We're willing here. We are willing at this council. Any and every person that wants to make this city better, that has ideas to make this city better, come forward. We can talk, we can discuss, and we can figure it out together, because we have to live together. We all do. Now, there was a meeting held and there was solutions that were brought for the current situation of taxes. And let me just share with you a couple things about some of those solutions. Now, one of the things that has been alleged is that this council's move of 4 personnel, these are 4 personnel that will be part of the Public Works Department, that will be tasked with maintaining the drainage ditches and the easements in and around our city. One of the allegations is us moving those folks to the enterprise fund was illegal and inappropriate and unethical. Now, that is simply not true. And let me tell you why. There are several funds that make up the city's budget. One of them is the maintenance and operations portion of the budget. That's sales tax, that's property tax. Then there's the debt service portion of our budget. And the debt service portion of our budget is the portion that pays for capital projects, large capital projects. If we want to build a fire station. That's property tax. You okay?
Somebody asked me if they want to watch it.
Okay, you good? All right. So then there's the debt service portion of our budget. And that helps us to pay for capital expenditures. We want to build a street or a road. That's the part of our budget. Then there's the third part of our budget, and it's called the enterprise fund. What is the enterprise fund? The enterprise fund is the fund of our budget in which any money-making entities in our government, or any services, if you will, that generate resources in our budget, they are part of the enterprise fund. In other words, we supply water, citizens pay for the water, and so they're paying for that service. That is in the enterprise fund. We pay for trash service and trash pickup. Citizens pay for that, and that comes out of the enterprise fund. We pay the trash company with those monies that are generated from the enterprise fund. And so the enterprise fund is totally user-based. I want you to understand that. The enterprise fund is totally user-based. That means that those monies that are paid into the enterprise fund go directly to provide services that are encapsulated in that enterprise fund. Now, any and every resource that is used to provide those services can go into the enterprise fund. That means not only does the water that we purchase go through the enterprise fund, not only does our trash pickup go through the enterprise fund, but also the personnel that are responsible for maintaining those infrastructures, they also can go into the enterprise fund. So if you are a crew that works on a ditch, you are responsible for maintaining that service in the enterprise fund. And those crews can actually be paid out of the enterprise fund. If you are a city manager who has to supervise crews that are operating out of the enterprise fund or that are working in a way that keeps up the sewer, the water, the drainage, and all of those infrastructure components together, you can be paid out of the enterprise fund. Actually, this idea is the idea that has been brought to us by conservatives. This is actually a conservative idea. And what it says is, in order to get people from having to pay taxes for things that they don't use, we will set up a system where they can pay for those things that they use. It's another way to pay for the things that you use so that you can take the burden off of the taxpayer. Does that make sense to anybody? And so that's what the enterprise fund is. So when we move those 4 persons into the enterprise fund, we're actually putting them where they should be. When we move a city manager or an administrative assistant, not the entire salary, but a portion of the salary, because they supervise and they work with the enterprise fund. When we move a portion of their salaries, we're actually cleaning it up and making it appropriate and consistent as to what it's supposed to be. And this has been done in many cities across this country because it is a conservative idea. All across this country, all across this state, and in fact, this has been done in the city of Lamarque since I can remember, moving staff members or putting staff members that are directly responsible for your utilities and the enterprise, putting them in a position to where when you pay your water bill, you're paying their salary. And that's what the enterprise fund is. And so there is no illegalities involved in that fund and moving those persons in that fund. It is not unethical. It is ethical and it is appropriate. It is a common practice that has been implemented all across this country by conservative leaning city councils. And it has been a part of this, our construct in this community for years. Another thing that I heard from this meeting was that what we can do is we have 130 plus, maybe it was 134 at the time, days of reserve funding. And we can get the $1.2 million out of these 100 plus days of reserve funding. Well, let me explain to you what our reserve funding is. If it was your house, the reserve funding portion of your budget would be your savings account, right? It would be the account that you put savings into for a rainy day. And so to say, let's take X amount of days out of our reserve funding to pay for obligations in our current budget, that would be perpetual, right? Because these obligations, this $1.2 million worth of improvements, those obligations will happen to us every year. They're going to happen every year. So what, in essence, that idea is suggesting in layman's terms is that we take money out of our savings account, if it was our home, and we pay our light bill with that money. Because the light bill is perpetual. The money in your savings is not perpetual. So it would be you taking money out of your savings account and putting it and paying a light bill with it over and over and over again. What's going to happen? Your savings will be drained and you can't afford to survive a rainy day. So whenever you have obligations that are perpetual, this $1.2 million, these police officers, and the other improvements that we made, these will happen to us every year. And it's not good fiscal policy to take monies out of your savings account to pay for bills and obligations that will happen year over year over year. Now, the third thing that I heard was that if you are 65 and older, somehow, if there's a tax rollback that goes through, your taxes will automatically be rolled back. Well, that depends. The truth of the matter is it depends on when you turn 65. Let's say that you turn 65 in a year that our tax rate was at 47 cents, and then there's a rollback approval. In essence, you don't gain anything because it's rolled back to 47. Your taxes are already frozen. I need to say that to us in a strong way as possible. If you are over 65, your taxes are already frozen. Now, the truth of the matter is, because we want to be fair, if they're frozen at 53 and a rollback goes through, then they'll fall to 47. That's true. That's fact. But many of our taxes have been frozen at something less than 55, less than 53, less than 51. And so if the taxes are rolled back, then there won't be perhaps as much savings as some of us, not all of us, think that we would realize. And so we have to think about that as we move forward. Think about what this means to you. It's been said in the community that we are fear mongering by talking about backing the blue and fighting crime with the investments that we've made. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that within the past 3 or 4 weeks, there have been several calls about gunfire. There have been a couple of shootings. There had been a bank robbery right down the street at our local bank. And so crime is still here. We're still in a battle. You don't win a war on crime overnight. That's a long haul. That's a war that will last for a quite long period of time, because you have to continue to beat back criminals and prove to them that Marque will not be a safe harbor for their criminal activity. We have to continue to do that. That's not going to happen tomorrow. We have to continue to make the investment. And so we need not do anything more than look around to know there's no fear factor. Crime is at our doorsteps. In fact, the last meeting, we had 2 items on the agenda for our Omega Bay subdivision. One of them was a ratification for increased police patrols, and the other one was a discussion for safety lighting. Even in Omega Bay, they are feeling the pinch of crime. And so when we suggest that these improvements that we've made are vital to pushing back crime, to resolving crime and eradicating in our community, it's not because we fear we're trying to scare anybody, or it's not because of some sort of fear factor. It's because the facts on the ground suggest that these things are true. Last thing I'm gonna say. The presenter of this meeting, the main presenter vocally, Mr. Mistich, said in the tape I was told, he said, basically, we have found the $1.2 million that they need. Well, I just showed you a couple of reasons why that's not true. Again, this reserve fund doesn't even have 134 days in it. Susie said to us that this reserve fund has less than 100 days in it because the reserve fund is a savings account, and what's in it today might not be what's in it tomorrow based on the budget. and needs of the community and needs of city staff to do their jobs, and inflation being on the rise. And so that number, just like that savings account number at home, that number changes. And so we don't have 133 or 34 days. That's why we hope that we can have these discussions here in council chambers so that we can get the numbers and get together and understand what we're doing together. But let me say this, Mr. Mistich said that he was able to find the 1.2 million. Sadly, we weren't able to find the 1.2 million outside of what this council has done. But here's the good news. Now there is no more debate on whether or not we need that $1.2 million, because I believe that has now been stipulated. It is definitely needed, because nobody is saying anymore that it is not needed. So now we know we need it. Even those that are trying to find a better way to do it have stipulated that we need it now. So now we can move past that and get to a place that we can figure out how to pay for it. This council has figured out how to pay for it. If there are any other ideas that will help us to figure out how to pay for it, that's what these tax forums are about. And that's how we move forward as a community. Now, council, did you all want to weigh in and share some of your thoughts over the past month, what you've been hearing, or?
The issue at hand is change for the city of Lamarck. And do we keep doing the same thing, or do we do it differently? And for years, I have watched Lamarck. My husband pastored here since 1997 till about 2011. And then we moved our church to Dickinson. But we have watched so much happen with the different councils and the different rhetoric. And I'm hoping that this time that we can show some maturity and good sense and competence when it comes to what our city really needs, so that we can effectively compete in Galveston County. We know that we are the #1 crime city in the county of Galveston County. So do we keep doing the same thing, or do we try to do something different? And that's what we were elected on, was to do something different. The community spoke to that. We had forums about that. And so I think it's real unfortunate that we have a few that has stirred up so much just unnecessary trouble. But that's the beauty of our democracy, having checks and balances. I do hope that the people of Lamarck in May, that they will speak up and vote about what they want to see in their city. Do we want that to be our banner, where people will say, you are still the #1 crime city 5 years from now? Or will we say as a community that we came together and decided that we were going to do it together to change the status quo? And we have a right to our opinion, but I do believe, Mayor, and to our citizens, that our citizens, the masses of our citizens, want to be safe. They want to see businesses come into our city. They want our schools to improve. They want to see change. The problem that I have seen over the last 25 years is that we have glamorized fighting. We have glamorized discontent. And what I have heard many times about Lamarck, Texas City, this area, is that we have blue collar minds and white collar money. And a lot of times they don't always mix, because a lot of our people don't go to college to get the conflict resolution skills that you need to learn how to come together and be agreeable. And that's an insult. Basically, they're saying we're stupid, that we don't know how to come together and work together because we have plant money, but we don't have education. And that's sad that that's what people from Houston and other parts of the state say about Lamarck. We're 10 minutes away from the Gulf. We're $25 million past Lamarck every day for tourism dollars going to the city of Galveston. So we must show just how brilliant we are, and we are brilliant. But it's these type of type of things that we should really be able to handle together as a community with solutions. So I thank you, Mayor, for having a tax forum which is a proper forum where people can ask questions and we can intelligently say, what are we doing with our city budgets? And unfortunately, we did try to do that this summer. We invited everyone to come, and some people didn't. And the ones that did not come are the ones that have the biggest beef right now. But the forum was available for you to come and speak. So because of that, and again, it's the beauty of democracy to have checks and balances, but it also costs the city to do an unnecessary election. So, but I welcome the questions to come. And I do hope that this 2022 will be a defining moment in our history, and that we will show the entire state of Galveston, the county of Galveston County, the state of Texas, that we are brilliant. And that just like we did with the chicken debate, where we came together and came to compromise, that we'll be able to do that in this situation and not only keep our kids safe, but also go to the next level of business and education and tourism. And that's what I want to focus about. I don't want to go to bed thinking about what somebody posted on social media. That's a demonic distraction. I don't want to worry about my boys and thinking that a citizen is about to attack my babies. Because then you're going to have to deal with my prayers. And I'm a believer that my prayers can go places my hands can't go. That is unnecessary. But I do know that there is a movement in America to discredit certain government bodies. And that's sad. Because when the people speak, they speak about who they want to make the decisions. And so I do hope that our city, for those of you that pray, we need you to pray so that we have wisdom and do the right thing and stay focused on making the Marque an amazing city and building on the great things that we already have. We've made some great moves, Mayor. I think you've done a good job. I think our council has done a great job in spite of the distractions, which I have never seen in the last 10 years. I've never seen this. And it's sad that we have to spend time on that. But at the same time, again, that's the beauty of our democracy. And I pray that the wise people of the Marque will come to these forums, ask the questions, and let's do it here. And so that we can make the best informed decision in May. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Yancey. Mr. Clausen, Mayor Pro Tem?
I'll yield to the Mayor Pro Tem for now.
Well, I want to pick up on a phrase Ms. Yancey says about the citizen speaking under our charter. And I've said this before, which I've utilized myself. We have a power of initiative. What's happening here is an exercise of that power of initiative. So period, that it is. I can't say much more than that, Mr. Mayor, because I think that we have certain guidelines that we as a council must follow legally. And I would like Gus to come and present and be prepared to talk about that so that we know the parameters of what we can speak to. And I'm going to suggest that we can only speak to facts, period. And so I want, I know we have strong feelings both ways, but and I need more facts as well too. I need to educate myself in some areas, which I still am trying to do. So that's all I ask, Mr. Mayor, and I'll reserve my comments for later, as we get into other forums.
Very good. Ms. Cost?
Now, I support the people that came up and wanted the tax rollback. That's democracy. Now, some of these people, there's only one leader of that whole group. And that's the person, Mr. Mistich, that came up and spoke about it. He's the leader. And I applaud him for that. It doesn't take much to get behind a keyboard and try to spin facts, try to gain your party if you want. But when you cross the line and you bring families into it, that's way over the line. There's a difference between a political life and a personal life. And some of these people that are I don't want to say keyboard warriors, but they're keyboard warriors. They want to bring personal lives in there. I don't think too highly of them. Now, if they want to stand up here and debate, let's do it. Let's debate. Let's not hide behind a keyboard. Let's not bring in people's families, because that doesn't say much about your character. And those people know who I'm talking about. And some of those people want to recall me now, and that's fine. That's their right. That's democracy. But I do know that the people that really matter know the truth. And if they want to recall me over taxes, that's fine. That's their right. But the people that really know me and know what I'm doing on this council, I know will have my back. So that's all I got to say is I wish there's more leaders of this tax rollback group. There's just one. So I wish other people would stand up and be leaders and want to talk about taxes, not someone's personal life. Because some people live in glass houses. And if they want to throw stones, they'll throw stones at their own glass house. So I encourage everyone who wants to be a quote leader of this tax rollback, please come forward. Let's talk. This is the forum. And my supporters know what I stand for and the character I am. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. The time has come now for those members of our community, those that are present. If you would like to ask questions of this council as it relates to taxes, tax rollback, tax policy, or if you would like to offer suggestions, plans, any ideas that you have, not only to this council, but to this community, so that we can come together and get the facts and make a good decision about where we go from here. Because at the end of the day, when we're done fighting and disagreeing and all of those things, at the end of the day, the people of Lamarck still have to grapple with whether or not they feel safe. After all of the other stuff is done, we still are going to have to deal with whether or not we as a community feel safe. Did we do enough to feel safe? Did we do enough to make sure that everybody in our community is safe? And ultimately, that's the determination that we're going to have to make. And that's the most important thing about these tax forums. And so at the end of the day, that's what I focus on, is the community members trying to do what's necessary to make them feel safe. The rest of it, it'll come out in the wash. I mean, I've been up here a long time. I'm a big boy. I get it. We have to still focus. It's my job to focus on the community. And that's what I'm going to do. And do the very best I can to give them what they need to be better. Right? And I think that if I lead that way, then the rest of the community will follow that way. That we'll put the community first and work together. And I think it'll happen. I think it'll happen. It starts with me, and that's what I am doing, and that's what I intend to do. So please, 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 whoever you are in the audience, if you all have questions, you can come to the podium. If you have statements, you can come to the podium. This is your government, and the only way that we will know better is if we hear from you. So are there any persons that would like to have any words tonight in this forum? Yes, ma'am. Come to the podium, state your name, and Ms. DeLon, and your address.
My name is Delon Delavos, address 222 Edgar Street here in Lamarck. I don't actually have any questions per se tonight, but I will say that just being born and raised here in the city of Lamarck, I love my city. And, just I would like to apologize to the public, those that are watching and that are listening. This is not how Lamarck is, we are a loving city. Maybe things have changed over the years, but it doesn't mean that we cannot get that back and we cannot get our city structured. It does take work, and sometimes people think that leaders can change things overnight or that they have the decisions to just do them on their own or right away. If you could, people would still complain. If you don't, they're still going to complain. So regardless, you're going to always have those complainers. But what I would like to continue to just ask of the council is to please just continue to stay positive as you are. You're reaching out to the community. It means a lot. You never have to worry about the naysayers, because right now we can all agree to disagree. But my thing is we can continue to be the problem, or we can be a part of the solution. And I'd rather be a part of the solution. And I would like to just ask and beg Lamarck community, or the entire community of Lamarck, to please just come together and don't focus on the negative. These leaders are here for a reason, and you can't always believe the things that you hear. Somebody's going to always have a problem with somebody, but there's only one focus here, and that is the city of Lamarck and its people. And if we all work together, I don't have to, I'm not saying I don't, I'm using this as, I don't have to like you don't have to like me. But guess what? In order to make the city and keep the city a better place, we have to work together as one. If we're divided, it's just going to continue to cause division. And all this division is unnecessary when we can really focus and just work together as one. So I just want to encourage the listeners and the watchers of this meeting. Some may not be watching right now, but they may watch later, and I'm sure that they will. Just continue to remain positive. And if you always have someone that's constantly negative, then maybe you shouldn't realize that they're an issue. But we just gotta focus on the positive and work together as a city. And I just want to continue to encourage that. So continue to do what you're doing and don't focus on the negative. You don't even have to give any words or thought to it. The community supports you, and we'll continue to do that. We'll work together.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Long. Thank you. Any other members of the public that like to ask questions, make comments, offer ideas as it relates to the tax rollback issue? Well, very good, very good. It was ours to offer, and certainly we hope that you take us up in the future. Chief, did you have some things that you like to share about your position?
Just one comment, Mayor. I applaud your commentary and the council members' commentary. We've talked about it before. The legislative process, Councilman Carson kind of hit the nail on the head. It's performed and has been performed by citizens meeting with the legislative body. That's gone on since we became a democratic republic way back in the 1700s. The social media is a great thing. This is my opinion, Randall Aragon's opinion. It's great for wishing people happy birthday, like on December 25th, and things such as that, and commending people for doing a great job. But it's not a legislative process. That's opinions. Opinions should be right here in front of the legislative body. And social media should do that, not legislating by social media. That's just opinions. So I've told you this, Mayor, when someone stands up in front of me or us right here and says something reasonable, intelligent, with facts, I'll buy into that. But on the social media, it's just an opinion. And think about the sender and their background, their past, where they come from. But over here is where it matters. So that's how I feel about it. And I always have felt about it. Social media has its purpose, but it's not a legislative process. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good, Chief. Thank you. Thank you. Well, If there's nothing further, we will move on from tonight. We're at about 7 o'clock. Again, at the end of the day, we have to decide in this community whether or not we feel safe. After everything else revs up and calms down and all of the other things are gone, this tax rollback is not about taxation. It never has been and it never will be. This is about who we are moving forward as a community. Do we want to make the investments to feel safe, to be better, to make our city what we know our city can be? Has nothing to do with a tax rate or a taxation. It has everything to do with who we want to be. And I want us to remember that. And again, this is our government. Everybody in this room tonight, everybody in this community, this is our government. We want you to come down. This council invites anybody in this community to come and offer any idea, any suggestion. We want it. We want to hear it so that we can work through it together. Because that's the only way we move forward in this community, is moving forward together. And I hope that makes sense. Again, we're at about 7 o'clock. We try to run these forums for about an hour. Again, thank you, council, for coming out tonight in the middle of a Christmas vacation. Thank you, audience members, for coming out tonight in the middle of your Christmas vacation. Staff members, thank you for coming out in the middle of your Christmas vacations. And we move forward into January. Chief, do you happen to know offhand when our next tour of the police department and our next tax forum will be?
Mayor, let me refresh that. I believe it's going to be January 19th. Let me ensure this. Yes, the second tour is scheduled for January 19th. It's a Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the police department, 431 Bayou Road.
January the 19th, which is a Wednesday at 6 p.m. We will have another police department tour. What is the address again, Chief?
It's 6 p.m.
What's the address?
431 Bayou Road.
431 Bayou Road, 431 Bayou Road. That's January the 19th
At 6 o'clock?
at
or-
6 o'clock.
Okay.
6 p.m. And we had, Lieutenant Gandy will be there. I'll be there. You'll be
there to
there
meet
too,
and
and you
greet,
can see the
yes.
department. So we
Yes.
appreciate you coming.
What about, have we scheduled a tax forum yet?
No, we haven't, sir. We'll do that again. It'll be January.
The
We'll
end
do
of
it Feb-
January?
The next one will be January.
In the end of January?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As far as our next tax forum, look for your meeting notices at the end of January, And again, we welcome you to come and participate on any level that you choose. There's nothing further, council. Do we have anything else we need to consider tonight? We will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned.